welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and this is the Astral Library. And excuse the poor lighting, it is a lot later at night than I normally record, and that's just because there's no time. This week is so busy. It's so busy. It is a Thursday, December 12th at about like 10 o'clock at night. So we're only working with artificial light. It is what it is, and as I kind of posted earlier this week, I've been running around like a nut because it is final season. Monday and Tuesday were dedicated to giving finals out to my students and grading them and making sure all my grading was done and inputted, and you know, college. It's been a lot. So I haven't had a lot of time to do literally anything other than that. But I promised you guys a video this weekend. By gosh golly, we're going to do it, especially because there won't be sprints this weekend. So I want to give you guys some content for this week to tide you over, okay? And you can see I'm able to lean on something over here, and what I'm leaning on is books. So two stacks of books to be exact with you. We are going to be talking about every series that I am currently in the middle of. It is an embarrassing amount, okay? This right here is for you guys to hold me accountable, to make sure that in 2025 I am putting an end to some of these series, because it is kind of sad how close I am to either finishing it or like a book away from being caught up. So these are all the series that I've at least read one book of and either own the rest of, or it's the last book in the series. We're gonna go through it, okay? We're gonna go through every single damn series I'm in the middle of, and that I hope to try to put to rest in 2025. It's asking a lot, but I at least want to finish a series that I'm close to being done with already. So we're gonna go ahead and just dive straight in. To make sure this video is not, you know, a million years long, because I don't got a lot of time to edit it, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna explain what each of these books is about, because that would take, again, aforementioned a million years. So we're gonna tell you the genre, maybe when I read it, and maybe why I put it down or what's putting me off of it, and we're just gonna go from there. Okay, cool, got it? Great, let's go ahead and dive straight in. So the first one I have is The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. This is the Rook and Rose series, and it is a trilogy, I believe, and all three books are out. I will say, I just started this series. So like, I'm like actively currently in the middle of it. I'm doing a buddy read with Princess Does, who, if you haven't checked out Princess Does, there's her channel right there. Go check her out. She's amazing. She does book content. She does studying content. She does gaming type of content. She's amazing. Oh, perfect. One of the sweetest people you'll meet on the internet, okay? And she's just been amazing, and I love her. And we were talking, and we want to like, let's do a buddy read, and we decided to, you know, tackle books on our TBR that we both own but haven't started. And that ended up being The Rook and Rose, which actually is very apt because the Broken Bindings next book series they're doing is the Rook and Rose series. So your girl needs to get on it to maybe get caught up so I can read the first two books that I do actually own and be prepared for when the third book comes out. So this copy will eventually be going away, which is kind of funny and sad. It is what it is. So this is a fantasy series. Again, I've just started. I haven't gotten very far in. This is actually my second time trying to read this book. The first time being, I picked it up and I wasn't in the mood for it. It wasn't bad or anything, but I'm enjoying myself a lot more this go around. And I will be finishing this book in December. Are there only a couple weeks left in December? Yes. Yes, in fact there is. However, I'm still gonna do it. It's still gonna be fine. And I'm gonna put this one off to the side because I actually, you know, need to get to that one later. The rest of these can be stacked up to oblivion. The next one I have is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is a duology. It's contemporary sci-fi. I read this early this year. Absolutely loved it. Like 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. It was so fun. I'm chomping at the bits to get the second one. The only reason why I haven't continued with the series is I don't own the second book. That's it. That's the only reason why. If I had the second book, I would have been picking it up and I would have read it because I'm that invested, but I don't own it. And I'm on a book buying ban because it's Christmas time and it's my birthday in a month. So I'm not allowed to buy books until after that or like on my birthday. So so I can't get to it. I want to get to it. I can't. But this is definitely a series I will be finishing in 2025. The next is probably my longest ongoing series on this channel in life, and that is the Alphabet series, or the Kinsey Millhelm series by Sue Grafton. So if you've been following my channel, you know the funny story of, I don't know how I got these books, in that they just appeared in my library one day, like my actual home library. My mom doesn't know where they came from, I didn't know where they came from, and neither of us had read them. And instead of, you know, just like clearing out these mystery books, I decided, let's go ahead and start them. So since I want to say it was in high school, because near the end of college I ended up clearing out most of my library, I've been making my way through these books. This is the current letter I am on. I am on R, so R is for Ricochet, and there's only a few more letters left. I'm over the halfway point in the series. I tend to read these in the summer or when I'm traveling because they're just like the perfect bite-sized mystery thriller to take along. They're all self-contained. It is a serial series, so each book is following their own case. When we have sometimes recurring characters, but usually we just have Kinsey herself and her getting into whatever trouble. After that, I almost debated not putting this on here because I finished the original core series, but in terms of like the entire saga series, this is definitely on it, and it's what I'm excited for, and that is of course Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. This is the second quartet of books in the Red Rising saga, and I loved the original Red Rising saga. I read the first trilogy in like 2-3 days. Was so obsessed with them. Got my best friend to read them, and also he binged them, and it was just like we both were so into them. And the only reason I haven't picked this up and continued on with it is because it is not finished. Pierce Brown said this was gonna be a trilogy, and then he changed his mind to make it a quartet, and I know his fucking ass. I know his ass. He's gonna leave me with some cliffhanger, and I'm going to be chomping at the bit to get my hands on it, and it's gonna make me cry, it's gonna make me sad, and it's gonna make me anxious, and I'd rather just have the whole series. I'd rather just have it all. And I was planning on starting to read these when the third book came out, Lightbringer, and then the news came that it was gonna be a quartet. And so I'm not picking this up until they're done. I'm not. Even though I found myself drawn more and more back to Darrow's world and to just see what everyone's saying. But I also know that if I start this too soon and I have to wait for that last book, I'm either gonna forget everything that happened and be mad because these are not thin books. These are very dense books with all the sci-fi going on. Then I'm not gonna want to necessarily reread them, and I'm gonna be mad because I'm gonna forget details, and it's gonna like ruin my enjoyment of the last book, and I don't want to do that. I kind of want to just binge it. So that's why this one's been put off. And also I hear they make you cry. I'm not ready to cry, and I don't want them to kill Severo. Okay, he's my favorite baby feral child, and I just if they kill him, I'm gonna be so sad. So I'm not ready for it. I'm gonna wait till it's done, and then I'll suffer. After that is another book that I really should just like read because it is like the next book in the series, and like then I'm caught up, and that is of course The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Witten. This is a relatively new series. I read the first book, I want to say last year, for the Magical Readathon. It was actually a book I bought, and I enjoyed it, and I was really intrigued into the world, and I had a lot of questions. So like I was probably gonna get some answers to those questions in this, but it's been a minute since I've read that first book, and I do remember feeling like I got more questions than I did answers in that one, so I'm a little worried that this one is not gonna give me those answers, and it's just gonna like add on to that like series of questions I had, and that's not necessarily a fun time. So I've been hesitant to pick this one up, even though I think this will be an okay time. I don't think I'm gonna have any sort of issues with it, or it's gonna be like a bad book. I think it will be fun, but I'm not again, it's a hang up, and this probably needs to be prioritized in 2025 because again, it's just one book away from catching up and being done and knocking this off of my like immediate shelf that I have of like series I need to continue. So she needs to be a priority. Okay, the next one, I am debating on DNFing, to be honest with you, and that is The Ash and the Star-Cursed King. Oh yeah, it is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I did not like the first book at all, actually. Like not even a smidgen. I was infuriated. I found it really boring, but the ending was like just intriguing enough for me to like want to see where it goes. And like, this is not my book. This is a friend loan, right? And it's been like a year So like that's how far I got it in. How many pages? It's probably a pathetic number of pages too. I got 18 pages in a year ago and I haven't touched this since. And I look at this book with scorn because I didn't like the first book. A lot of people like the first book and don't like the second book. So I didn't like the first book. So am I gonna hate this one even more? Or am I gonna like this one more because everyone else hated it and I hated the first book? I don't know. It might be time just to let this go, if I'm honest, because I only vaguely remember the events of the first book. Though, to be fair, they weren't that, like, memorable to begin with. Sorry any Clarissa Broadbent fans. I'm sure she's great. I've been hearing good things about her other series, Daughter of No Worlds. I'm curious about that. I just think this one wasn't for me and I think I just need to let it go. Another one I'm actually excited for, and that is The Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy in the whole Robin Hobb universe. I forget the actual name of it. There's like a million names to kind of keep track of because this is 4 series, I think, in total that range anywhere from trilogies to I think 5. There's one 5-book series. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't have my trusty phone in front of me. This is another book that I'm actually really excited to get to. I think the reason why I've put this off so long is because it's a true like high fantasy book with a lot of political intrigue and I just haven't had like the mental energy necessarily to start something like that. And I'm still just a little saddened by what happened in the first book, which if you saw my first vlog, you know what happened, you know how I felt. And even though I love the first book, I'm Robin Hobb, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You're gonna break my heart. And it's fine, but I'm not mentally prepared for that, okay? So she's gonna marinate for a little bit more. I need to get to know the series relatively soon because I want to know more. I want to get to the end of the whole universe because the last book made people like sob and I want to know why. Okay, the next book is another shame because I own the whole series and I bought it as a completed series and I just haven't continued on with it. And that is The Breath of Fire by Amanda Boucher. This is the Keymaker Chronicles. This is the second book and as you can see, I've gotten a chunk of the way in. I stopped on page 67, 66. The reason why I haven't continued with the series is that the first book was okay. I was really enjoying it and like, oh my god, I'm gonna binge this whole series. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna fall in love with these characters and this relationship. And then the ending just got like really repetitive and it kind of continued a bit into this first book. Like they're like the whole premise is that we have our main character who's like hiding this big secret and then she gets really dumb with like how she's trying to hide that secret at the end of the book and it pissed me the fuck off, okay? It pissed me off so much that I was like, I'm done. I don't want to know. I don't care anymore. And so I went into this book in a really bad mood and with a really bad taste in my mouth that I just wasn't here for it and I just wasn't having fun. So I did not give this the best chance. I think I've let enough time pass between that first book and this book now that I think I could get over that and just kind of like let my mind just enjoy it to be a fun little story, not something amazing, not something like groundbreaking. That's not what this is for. Like that is not what this romantasy genre is. I'm sorry, it's not. It's fun, it's sweet, and I like a bit of romance. And I did like the characters and I did like the premise of this. I think I just needed to let that frustration go. Couple more in 1 sec and then we got this bad boy over here. Next is a series I'm actually steadily making my way through, and the reason why it takes me so long to get through this series is oftentimes I pick this up when I'm in a reading slump, and instead of, just continuing on with the next book like a normal person, I reread the series. And that is Mercy Thompson's series by Patricia Briggs. So there are 14 books in total, and I think this is book maybe 10. I'm really close to catching up, and like the 14th book just published this year. It's doable. I finished these books in like a day. No problem. I love a good paranormal romance, right? But I just tend to pick them up when I'm like in a slumpy mood or like I feel myself sliding into a slump. These are just the perfect thing because vampires, werewolves, magic, a really fun, badass female character, I eat them up, okay? And I read them really fast. And they're always just a good time. And I think I really need to get to this one in particular because I believe this one is vampires and the vampires are the most interesting thing about this series, okay? I'm here for it. I love these. And I think I'm actually approaching the mood for when I'm going to be devouring these books. I never just stop with one. I at least read 2 or 3. So she might be going pretty quickly at the beginning of 2025, if not in the next couple of days, because if I'm honest, it's calling my name. This book might be on this list for last. This one I might need you to bully me into reading, and that's just because I really did not like the first book. Like, I was extremely frustrated and annoyed by the first book, and that is All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christian Lynn Herman. The first book is All of Us Villains? Is that what it is? Is that what the first one was called? Yes, All of Us Villains. Did not like it. Not one bit. I found the characters to be whiny. I don't know how you made a Hunger Games / Death Game boring, but it did. It really did. And I get they're teenagers, but they're like older teenagers, like 18, 19. And I was not here for it. I think the most interesting characters were the ones that were like, everyone was targeting. I thought they were fun. I thought that was interesting. And that's the only reason why I just didn't like get rid of this book. And also for the fact that I owned this one first, and I didn't own the first one, and I had to go buy the first one to read it, and so I now have both of them. So I might as well just finish it, because it's only a duology. It is only 2 books long, okay? And it's a YA book, so they go fast. But I didn't like the first one. And I don't necessarily want to read this one, even for those characters that I liked. I don't know. You're gonna have to bully me into reading this anytime soon. Otherwise, it's just gonna sit there until I like come across a prompt and like, this is the only thing left, because it wasn't it for me. If you love this, I'm glad for you. I'm so happy for you. I am ecstatic that you love this. I could not. And so this is gonna sit here and shame me until it's either the last one standing, or you all bully me and tell me how amazing this one is in comparison to the first one. To which, okay, maybe. It will take some convincing, I will say that. We are at waist level with this stack. You really can't see it, but I'll tip you down. So we are waist level, so we are getting there. I told you, it's a shame pile. There's so many here. All right, next one, also duology, also on the second book, and that is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the is it called the Vicious series? I don't think I know the name of this series, but I loved Vicious. I thought Vicious was amazing. It was engaging, it was fun, the characters were so vibrant, and the tension between them was amazing. And then I just never picked up the sequel. I've owned the sequel for a long time. In fact, I got it not too long after I got Vicious, and I just never picked it up, because Vicious ends in a way that's like satisfying, and like it doesn't necessarily need a sequel. And I will say this, I have not heard great things about the sequel. I've heard a lot of people prefer that they didn't read this book at all, but I love V.E. Schwab's writing. I think it's so engaging, I think it's fun, I think it's amazing, and Vicious was so good. It was so good. If you want a really good like dark academia rival story, not rivals to lovers, no, just rivals, and like morally gray, Vicious was so good. And I'm scared that Vengeful is gonna ruin it. I'm so scared it's gonna ruin it, so I'm hesitant to pick it up. It's scary. I don't want to ruin something I really like it currently sits on my favorite shelf, despite the fact that I've never read this, and that's just because I love Vicious so much, and I don't want to separate them, because first off, they look gorgeous together. Vicious is the red cover, and this is a black with the red accents. Chef's kiss, so nice to look at. But usually I only say my favorite shelf for books I've read and enjoyed, and this is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb, and it kind of bugs me. It kind of really bugs me, so I might need to just bite the bullet and finish this. Speaking of V.E. Schwab, the next one I have is another of her series, and that's The Darker Shade of Magic. And this is, I thought I was gonna love this series because I love V.E. Schwab's writing. I think it's beautiful and gorgeous and amazing, as I clearly just said. And so I bought A Darker Shade of Magic and the two sequels. It's a trilogy, so I'm like, I'll just buy them all. This is fine. I think I bought them on a discount, maybe, possibly, probably not. And I didn't like Darker Shade of Magic. Like, at all. I thought it was kind of boring and uninteresting. And I'm not 100% sure how much of that was just because the audiobook narrator was terrible and boring, and the fact that I was trying to squeeze this in at the end of Magical Readathon when I was burnt the fuck out. I don't know. But I do own the rest of the series, and it is a trilogy, so I might as well at least give the sequel, which is A Gathering of Shadows, a try. I think I'm gonna look up a summary to A Darker Shade of Magic and kind of like re-jog my memory what the hell happened in that, and then try reading this rather than listening to an audiobook, because I think I didn't give it necessarily as fair of a shot as I could have, because I gave it a really boring narrator, knowing that audiobooks themselves are really hard for me. Having a hard time paying attention and having a boring narrator was just a recipe for disaster. So I'm gonna give it another shot, and I'm gonna physically read it, because again, I own the series. is. We're gonna put that at it is almost in frame. It's just out of frame. Okay, next book I have is The Shadow of Gods by John Gwynne. This is the Bloodsworn trilogy. This is another series I just started this year. I started it in, I want to say September, maybe August. I did read this for a magical readathon. No, that's a lie. I think I read this for a 2024 vlog because this was on it. I was so ready to DNF this series. Like, if you watched that vlog, you should go watch that vlog. It was a time, a roller coaster even. In that I was telling people before I was finished, like, I'm not gonna read any more of this. I think it just wasn't for me. It was just okay. I was frustrated and this, and this, and this. And then I get to the ending though, and I'm like, okay, but what else happens? Like, what else is going on? So I put it on my low priority TBR to continue with the series. In that, if I pick up the next book, I pick up the next book and I'll read it, but it's not something I'm like prioritizing. But it is a series I did start, I am in the middle of, and I do plan on continuing at least through another book. We'll have to see if the second book fixes any of the issues I had with the first book, because it's a multi-POV and I did not like how John Gwynne was handling the POV and like when he was switching things. So I'm hoping that now that we have a bit more connection between the characters that we got at the end of this book, that will be solved just a little bit and I'll be less frustrated. All right, speaking of high fantasy, we have like the king of high fantasy on this list, and it is a series that I technically haven't read, that technically I'm in the middle of, even though I know the story and I'm a big fan. It is Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I know. You don't need to say it. Get your hands off the keyboard. I know. Emily, you're a fantasy nerd and you haven't read Lord of the Rings? You haven't actually read it? No, I have not. Okay, I've seen the movies. I watch the movies every year. In fact, December 25th, 2024 in the morning, we're starting with Fellowship of the Rings. Yes, we are, because it is a Christmas movie to me. I watch them every year, the extended versions. It's an all-day affair, okay? It is. I'm a huge fan. I own multiple copies of this book. The originals are just, I don't want to read them. I don't want to read them. This is the one series that I do through audiobook, and I listened to The Hobbit, and it was a full like narrated audio version, and it was great. It was an experience. It was so lovely and cozy. I played Stardew Valley while doing it, but I don't want to read them, so it takes a minute for me to like be in the mood to go through it and to get started with them. So I'm technically at the beginning of the series because I read The Hobbit, which is the prologue to the series, and this is Fellowship of the Ring, the first book, and I think the shortest book in that series. We'll just put it off to the side. I'll get to it eventually. I promise. I'll get to it. It's a fantasy thing. I'll do it. I promise. Maybe not at the end of 2025, but we'll try to get at least one more book in so I can be closer to finishing the trilogy. Next one is another series I'm actually pretty close to finishing, and that is Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation by MXTX. This is volume 4 of 5. So your girl's close. She's got 2 more volumes left. And the only reason I've been putting this off is I just tend to pick these up whenever. I already know the story, so it's nothing necessarily new for me. And I'll be honest, volume 2 was the most boring arc for me in the show, and in the book I was just like not here for it, so that put me off on reading it. But volume 3 was actually really interesting and really fun, and it makes me want to pick up 4 a lot sooner. But again, it's just a series that like I know the story, so I'm not in like any real rush to finish, though book 5 is all smut, and that wasn't in the show, and your girl wants to read that, okay? I want to see the tension between these two skyrocket and go into actual sexual gratification. I think it'll be great and it'll be fun. All right, that is totally in frame now. Yeah, it's up to like armpit almost, just about. That's how tall, and we still got 4 or 5 more books. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a lot of series. Like I said, shame me in the comments. It's okay. This is ridiculous. I should not have let it get this far, but I did. Especially because the next one is the last book in the series. It's the last one. I've had it since release. I've read them as they were coming out, and it hasn't been that long since I've read it. I just need to finish it. And I haven't. And that is The Vagrant Gods? Is that what this series is called? Yeah, Vagrant Gods, plural, by David Daglish. This is a series I picked up literally, I think at the beginning of this year, or maybe, no, it was last year. It's the beginning of last year. I grabbed them for my birthday because the name of the series really caught my attention, and I was reading it and I was super duper intrigued because it reminded me of the Grave of Empire series by Sam Sykes, particularly with the word vagrant. It hooked me on. The covers were cool. I went to 2 bookstores trying to get this series, okay? 2 different bookstores. And then I read them, and the first one, great, so interesting, so fascinating. The second one sucked so bad. Like, forget middle book syndrome. This book should have been a few pages, just like tacked on. It should have been duology with the second book cut into a quarter of its size and just thrown into this one. Because the second one was literally us finding out the secret that we learned at the end of the first book over and over and over again through same characters with the same fucking reaction each time. It wasn't anything new. It was the same reaction. It was awful. I hated it so much. And because of that, I put off the last book, The Slain Divine, because the second book sucks so much, even though I know that I could just forget that second book and just go into this. It's fine. This is what we need. This is the ending to that. And then once I finish this book, this series is done. I can knock this off. It doesn't have to be up to my shoulders anymore. It doesn't. But I don't. I haven't. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's still here. It's still here. Bully me in the comments. Make me read this book so I can be done with it and I don't have to think about it past, like, let's say March in 2024. It does not deserve to go on another year of me having not read this book and finishing this series. Sorry, brief interlude. My cousin interrupted me. We still are almost armpit and have 4 more books to go. Let's do this because it's late and I want to go to bed. Next book up, we have the Chronicles of the Bitch Queen series. This is a series I had on my 24 for 2024. So it was been a minute when I put it on that, and it's still been a minute. It's been a minute since I've actually started this. This is book 2 of a trilogy, so I am a book in. Why have I not read this? I didn't love the first book because the first book was a lot of setup and it's like a high fantasy, and I felt like I was promised this really badass character. I mean, it's called the Bitch Queen series. I wasn't seeing the badassery enough in the first book that I think it kind of put me off. I was like, it's not delivering. But the first book was entirely just set up for the rest of the story. So I think the next books will be fine. The problem is, it's been a really, really long time since I've read the first book, which is the Wolf of Arnyaro. Honestly, I probably should reread it. I don't know if I have it in me necessarily to do a reread. I think I'm just not here for it, especially since I didn't enjoy it the first time around. So I might have to look up a summary so I can understand more going into this book. Because I think if I just try to read this book now, I'm gonna be very, very lost. So that's what's been putting me off, because it's more work just to get it done. And with that, we are almost to the top of my shoulder. We'll pass it with this next book. This next book is a series I started this year, so it's not like it's been on this for a while. Have I owned it for a while? Yes. Yes, I have in fact owned this. I think for a year, because I think I bought this for my birthday this year. So that is the Kingdom of Copper by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the second book in the Davenport trilogy. I read the first one, which was City of Brass? Yes, it's City of Brass, and I'm blanking because it reminds me of this middle grade book that I read eons ago. I think it's like City of Embers. If you know, you know. Tell me if you recognize this book, okay? That's what comes to mind every time I say this goddamn series book. But this is Kingdom of Copper, which is the second book in the trilogy, and I love the first one. It was so good. I read it with a book that was too close to the plot, but I was here for it. I was ready to dive in, and I've heard nothing but great things about the rest of the series, so I'm very excited to continue on. And this one will probably be early on in 2025, just because I am interested in the series and I do want to continue on with it. I listened to the audiobook for the most part of City of Brass, and that was really good because it's the same narrator as the Adventures of Mina Also Rafi, which was amazing as an audiobook. So I might do another like hybrid thing where I listen to some of this, or I listen and then maybe read the other one. I don't know, but I can see myself picking this up one pretty soon, especially if I do decide to go the audiobook route, just because it's a great audiobook. The narrator's really fun and it's really interesting. Though, because of all the names in this and like similar sounding names, it might be better for me to read it so I can see I have the visual spelling to help me differentiate the characters a little bit more. Other than that, the only reason why I haven't picked this up is because I've been burnt out and I haven't had the time to, again, dive into like a heavy fantasy, which this one very much is. But it is a priority, and my book that goes over my shoulder. It's so big, it's so tall. The next book I have is another book from my 24 for 24 TBR. So again, it's been on my list for a while, and that is Bloody Rose by Nicholas Eames. This is the sequel to the Band of Brothers. No, Kings of the Wild. Kings of the Wild. I don't know why I thought Band of Brothers. Loved Kings of the Wild. 5-star read. It was so D&D coded. It was so much fun and interesting, and I really enjoyed the story. And this is following a female lead instead, which which yay, amazing, fun, love a female lead. Why have I been putting this off? You know that feeling when you know you're gonna like something and so you're like, I'm gonna leave it till so I can savor. I'm gonna leave it as a little treat and then you never get to it? That's this book. I know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna have fun with it, but I've been putting it off for some goddamn reason. I don't know why. I could not tell you why. A book that I think is going to be 5 stars and is gonna be really fun and enjoying and gonna make me laugh and have a great time and be really interested in what else is going on in this world. I haven't read it. Couldn't tell you why, other than the fear of something good. I couldn't tell you. There's probably some like therapy answer for that. I don't want to know, okay? It's weird and it's odd and I need to read it, so I'll try to do that in 2025 because I don't think I would get to it in these last 2 weeks of December. It's just not gonna happen. Sorry, not sorry. All right, and the piece de resistance, the last one, the very last book on this thing of the series, and it's another goddamn duology. What is it with me and duologies? I could not tell you. It's one more book and I still haven't read it, and I've had it since it came out last year, I want to say. And that is the sequel to Aristotle and Dante's Discover the Secrets of the Universe. And this one is Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World by Benjamin Alier-Sanes. Correct me in the comments. I don't know. It's not that long of a book. It's YA. It reads super fast. The writing's very lyrical. I really enjoyed the first Aristotle and Dante, and I just haven't picked this one up. I think the reason why I didn't pick this one up is because when it was released, there was a lot of controversy going on surrounding this that I never fully like had the time or energy to like get into to do the research around. I still haven't, but I think because of that, I put it off till I could figure out the research and see what was going on, see if this is something I want to read. I already bought the book, so it's not like I can't like take back my support. It's here. I just haven't done it. That controversy put me off because I was like, I need to do the research, figure out what is going on, like see, just like be more informed, you know? But that's a lot of time and energy that I just haven't had to dedicate to something that is very minute in terms of my life and like how much it's impacting me. Like, because if it's something really terrible, you know, there's only so much bad news you could take. And 2024 had a lot of bad news. That's all I'm saying. So I've been putting it off. We're gonna put her up here and side-by-side comparison. It's almost to Shin. So yeah, that's how tall she is. She's almost as tall as me sitting down. I would say this is a prop. I should be reading more of my series, especially because a good chunk of them I'm almost done with. I'm like one book away from being caught up or one book away from finishing and I haven't done it. I haven't done it. And I keep starting new ones. This might be the new challenge for 2025. We might have to do like the TBR challenges everyone's doing right now that gives me so much FOMO because I want to do one. It might have to be a series one because I have too many series. I need to finish them. I need to get further along with them, or I need to just scrap the series and move on with my life. We cannot be having a chin-high stack of series that I'm just in the middle of. Oh, technically it's not even I'm sorry. That's a lie. It's not chin high. I forgot this book. It is eye high. It is nose high. It is too high for a stack of unfinished series. Like I said, shame me in the comments because this is ridiculous. We shouldn't be living this way, okay? We should not be living this way. But that is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed getting to know some of the series that I'm into. I know this is all the front pages, but honestly, if I try to turn this around, it's going to topple and I don't want to pick up a million books. But that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, consider leaving a thumbs up and a comment down below. Let me know if you've read any of this series. Let me know how many series you have kind of on your TBR and your back burner. Is it as bad as mine? Is it better than mine? I hope it's better than mine because I have, we can count, 17, 18 series, 19 series, the one on the table, 19 series, almost 20. I hope you're more sane than I am. But that's it for me. It's super duper late. I'm going to bed. I will see you guys in the next video next week, which will be on time. Fingers crossed. Have a lovely night, evening, or morning, whatever time of day you're watching this, and I'll catch you later. Bye!